brisk. Celebrate wedding anniversaries. The world of heterosexualism. Sick and boring life.
Joanna Eberhard is an outsider.
We're in the country now, so no more black.
Are you insane?
In a town.
Good morning, Joanna.
Where normal is strange.
Hi, Walter. I love you in khakis. Now I know why they call it Banana Republic. These women are like deranged flight attendants.
Today, prepare to be Stepfordized.
Good morning, Joanna.
Don't be afraid.
The Stepford Wives. They're coming. Rated PG-13.
Welcome back to the show, listeners.
Welcome back.
Scott.
Pete.
I don't know what to say about this movie.
Yeah, when you were sitting on the couch the other night, you were at times speechless, but you did chuckle every once in a while though.
You know, there are some people in this movie that are powerhouse actors and actresses.
Oh, everybody's overqualified for this movie.
I appreciate everybody in it, and they are doing their damnedest with what they got. But I've got something to say. So I think we should get into it. Listeners, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay. Chris Gallo from Golden Girls Posters. Welcome back on the show.
Yes.
Hello.
Last on for In and Out, directed by Frank Oz and written by Paul Rudnick.
How about that?
About that? We're going through this is a Frank Oz podcast now.
So we have a
I'm
theme.
okay with that.
We watched The Stepford Wives, the 2004 remake, directed by Frank Oz, written by Paul Rudnick, based on the 1972 novel by Ira Levin, released June 11th, 2004. Summer of 2004, baby. I had just graduated high school. I was definitely going to movies. I oddly did not catch this in the theater in its main run. I saw this at a college dollar theater on campus at MSU.
Oh, wow.
I believe that it was in a classroom, so you sat in desks. And I think that it was sponsored by Miss Kitty's, which was a sex store in downtown Postman.
Oh, work.
It was like a Miss Kitty's night that they showed movies at the Procrastinator Theater at MSU. I don't know if the Procrastinator Theater is still open, but that's when I caught up with the Stepford Wives. So I did sort of see it in the theater. So I just saw it late. How about you?
Okay. Yeah, I saw this in the theater probably like opening week, if not opening weekend. And it was an experience because as a Connecticut resident, the entire theater basically applauded during the infamous, Connecticut line that Glenn says at the end with the robots.
Right after that line, I think I said to Pete, that must have really
that really flew in Connecticut.
That really landed hard, and it's Connecticut theaters. And Pete also mentioned probably also in New York.
Yeah, we cheered. I saw it. I'm pretty sure I saw it in Trumbull, which is in Fairfield County, not too far from where this movie and the original was shot. So it was kind of not as snooty as your Greenwiches and your, Norwalks and your Stamfords and Westports, but, we definitely roared and cheered when that line came on.
And for listeners who haven't seen it yet, do we have the line? What did she say?
I have it. She goes, and then I wrote it down because I know I would butcher it.
Yeah.
But she goes, and then I thought, where would no one, and then I asked myself, where would people never notice a town full of robots? Connecticut.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah.
So I always knew that I wanted to do a Stepford Wives episode, and I was not sure if I was going to do, or if we were going to do a conjoined Stepford Wives double feature, because I did watch the original to prepare for this Frank Oz movie when it came out summer of 2004. So I do have a background with the original. I have read the book. I read the book.
Okay.
I read the mass market movie tie-in edition that came out in Barnes and Noble.
So it had Nicole Kidman's face.
It had Nicole Kidman's face on the cover because I was that.
Oh wow.
Homo. I was that homosexual target audience that was fully prepared for the Stepford Wives movie. I mean, I remember this remake kind of getting a lot of press. Like, I remember reading about it in either EW or Premiere that they were set to do this remake. I want to say different casts were announced when they first started reporting on this movie. And I had forgotten until I read it today that the Cusacks were attached to this movie. And I want to say that they were I want to say that they were announced like when they first said that Frank Oz was going to be doing this remake. So, yeah, I remember it being this huge deal in summer of 2004.
Yeah, because I was looking at the IMDb trivia just before we jumped on the call, and I think they were supposed to play. I think they were in the movie basically almost until they were ready to shoot or something, because they had an emergency with. I think their father might have passed away.
Yeah, I think it was
or something like that.
It was a family crisis, so they had to step away. And both Bette Midler and Matthew Broderick came in at the very.
They weren't playing the married couple. That would have been weird.
They came in at the very last minute, so it would have been John Cusack as the husband, and Bobby would have been played by Joan.
I was going to say, tell me Joan Cusack was going to play Barbie Markowitz, the Bette Midler character. Now, I clearly did not see this in the theater. I hadn't seen it all the way through.
We've sometimes caught this.
Really?
We've sometimes caught this.
You put it on
Sling.
every now and then if it's on just cable, TBS,
just
whatever,
kind of that cable movie that you just dip in and out of.
Had not seen it.
In and out.
I have only really seen the original with you, Scott. Not familiar with it, but for me, growing up as a kid, what I know of Connecticut is that's where they lived on Who's the Boss.
Sure.
That's where Angela's house was. So I was like, ooh, that's nice. That's like you're moving on up from New York.
I can never remember.
And that was my frame of
on
reference.
Who's the Boss, if it was Connecticut or Long Island.
No, it was Connecticut.
Okay.
Growing Pains was Long Island.
Okay. That's what I'm thinking of.
The Seavers lived on Long Island, and Angela, her lovely house with like all the stonework in the back, and
I always loved their kitchen on Who's the Boss.
Core kitchen. That was Connecticut, and that was very much like, okay, Tony now has like left Brooklyn, which this is the 80s, so Brooklyn is still a slum, right? And you got to get your way to either Connecticut or Vermont, because Vermont was where the Bob Newhart show was set, and their like little hotel situation. So that was like my like little gay kid frame of reference watching shows. I mean, Who's the Boss was like kid show, but like Newhart was not. There were no kids in that, but I was still watching the shit out of it. I was all about like oh God, now I don't remember their names. This is my brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl. At any rate, that's all I knew from the East Coast was from my sitcoms. But I knew that now Ira Levin wrote Rosemary's Baby.
Yes,
the book
Rosemary's Baby and The Boys in the Band.
Sure.
No, excuse me, The Boys from Brazil.
Okay. But the thing is, the Stepford Wives is just one of those things that. It's just so like kind of baked into our consciousness.
It's kind of an adjective,
like you just
Stepford.
Whether you've seen it or not, you kind of know like it's the movie.
You know the term, and you know exactly what it means.
Yeah, like I'd ask my parents like, what does that mean? They'd be like, it's a movie where all the wives are robots or whatever. Okay, so going in and having seen the original, which is like. Not spooky, but played more straight, played more dramatic, and a little a thriller vibe.
Well, also kind of the original was made in second wave feminism. I mean, that's when this book comes out in 1972. There's this thing, Pete. It's called Women's Lib.
It means women get everything they want.
It means women get everything that they want. So I mean, it was just kind of going with this wave of feminism. Too.
Yeah. And I mean, the original is really fun for, kind of watching it with that perspective. But it's also really fun to. What year is it?
The original
75.
I think it's 75.
75. Yeah.
It's really fun to just be like, oh shit! There's a supermarket from 1975.
This movie is the most 70s thing I have seen in quite a long time.
That shit is like slice of life 1970s, mama. You want to be transported? You watch a Stepford Wives. That shit looks old. Like it looks like period movie. Unlike a lot of movies from the 70s, that kind of, you're like, okay, it's still modern, whatever. No, this is old.
Yeah.
But it's so cool. I love that shit. You know, we still have our like princess phone like sitting on the counter right next to us. So, but this movie is played more for satire.
Well,
right?
and I don't think that you could do this material in 2004 and try to have a sincere or straight face approach to it too.
Yeah. Which is what kind of leads me to like my questions about it, because I have some questions about what's going on, and we'll get to all that. But I feel like since we're kind of in the early stages of this episode, I guess we could bring up the this was a troubled production.
Very troubled production.
This was a troubled production. And does it kind of read that way as you're watching it?
Absolutely.
Maybe in 2024 as a new viewer, I'm like, I don't know that this plot is making the most sense. It's almost as if they were rewriting the hell out of it as they were going along.
Well, and then there's the whole stories of test screenings that they had to. Did they have to scrap an original ending? So pretty much everything of Nicole post supermarket, is that all reshot?
Yeah, I think so. I think they were going for the whole they're all robots and going for a darker ending.
Yeah.
And then they introduced the whole like, oh, it's just microchips and they're just controlling them and not like killing them and replacing them.
Yeah. Because that was my thing.
But it's funny because the story contradicts all of that.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But I just feel like in a 70s movie, clearly you can go for the darker, grittier ending of like, no, these are fucking robots. Like, I'm gonna stab this bitch and she's not gonna bleed, and like she is a robot, right? But I feel like in a 2000s movie, in a 90s movie, I don't know that either the studios or audiences or whatever would kind of be okay with that ending, and they kind of, it inevitably would have ended up where, we're just all going to snap out of it, right? Whether or not that was the original intention, I don't know. We'll have to kind of dive into that. But I feel like a modern kind of like pop movie, not a like, I don't know, A24 kind of thing. Like a popcorn movie. I don't think they're going to go that dark.
Yeah, I mean, this was like a June release by a major studio, like in the summer with big stars. There's no way in hell they were going to make like the original ending. I mean, you read the book, Scott. So like, is the ending like the book, like the original movie?
It's pretty much like the 1975 movie, and the adaptation of that original movie. I mean, it's been a while since I've read the book, but for the most part, I think it follows it pretty loyally.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way they were going to, like, make that movie, like the 2004 movie, that dark, and test it with an audience, and they'll be like, oh, we love this.
Yeah.
We love that Nicole ends up being, like, murdered and she's a robot now.
Yeah. Another thing that I kind of thought was, I feel like this movie almost works better if you're familiar with the original.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Being able to compare it. I know a lot of times with remakes, you kind of want to be like, this is its own thing. Like, we're adapting the novel. We're not remaking the movie. Like, kind of a thing. And
except that you see now in Hollywood remakes.
Right.
Yeah.
But with this one, I think it's almost more fun to kind of watch the original, to see how closely they did stick to the source material, and then see this one and see where they went with it, and kind of contrast the characters, because I mean, Glenn Close is fucking killing it in this movie. Like, I can't, like, she's so good. We have to talk about the costume.
Glenn Close, one of those actresses that I had assumed that we had covered a lot of Glenn Close movies, but when I was looking through her filmography, we've just done like The Cameo and Hook. There might be another one thrown in there too.
Really?
That we have not talked about Glenn Close a lot.
Did we
have
Fatal
not
Attraction?
done Fatal Attraction yet. I would definitely like to do that.
Well, I think we may be doing The Deliverance very soon, because that shit
was wild.
My new favorite movie.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh my god!
I hear it's crazy.
She's having a moment right now. The Deliverance is not good. But,
she looks like she's having a good time.
That's what I'm hearing.
But her performance,
she's having fun though.
Yeah. Also, Andra Day doing some solid work in that movie.
Andra Day is kind of killing it. Evil Rihanna.
Even though I feel like all of Andra Day's movies with Lee Daniels, it's as if he is like holding her hostage in a weird therapy session of his.
Sure. Well, I don't know. Her evil Rihanna was doing it for me, but yeah, maybe we'll get to the Deliverance because that shit is wild. But Glenn in this movie, she looks amazing. The clothes, the hair, everything. It's just like on point. I love her.
And
so
Anne Roth did the costumes.
Yeah.
Frequent collaborator of both Glenn Close and Nicole Kidman, too. So I think that she works with them a lot in movies. So kind of one of the main reasons why I picked the Stepford Wives remake is that I do feel like maybe it's a bit of a mess, but maybe a little more fun, and just kind of the camp factor in this movie, in this script, is kind of off the charts. I mean, you get this ridiculous screenplay by Paul Rudnick. Like, I mean, beloved screenwriter of movies that made us gay. I mean, he's written Addams Family Values, In and Out. He did the rewrite of First Wives Club. I think that he did like the second pass of that script. I think it was handed off to him. So he's kind of responsible for a lot of
Sister
those
Act as well. But like his name was taken off, right? Because he hated the final product. Which was also like a Bette Midler thing, wasn't it? Wasn't it supposed to be like Bette Midler?
I think that he had written the script with Bette in mind, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe just kind of major plot points were taken from his original screenplay. But we love Paul Rudnick on the show, so I feel like it's a little more appropriate to focus on the 2004 movie.
For sure. I see it as like almost like a full-on spoof in a way of the concept of the Stepford Wives. Kind of the way like Addams Family Values almost feels like a spoof of Addams Family. Like he just like ups the camp silliness value.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Because this movie, it starts off fucking like out of 10. We've got this like weird like industry Emmy Award like ceremony,
Apple presentation.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the upfront.
These weird upfronts, and she's like this TV executive,
this power bitch TV executive.
Even her name is very like
Joanna.
No, her last name,
Evan Hart.
Eberhart. It's like kind of like weird, like I don't know, like Dick Ebersol. Like this character is crazy, right? So right off the bat, you're like, what the fuck? She's like this Sherry Lansing kind of like a person.
Sure.
But then, I mean, it kind of goes into, when we figure out what's going on with these women, is that they're all high-powered women, whatever. But this movie starts out at a fucking 10.
A movie that begins with a mass shooting is a choice, too.
Well, it's not a mass shooting. He only shoots her. And she doesn't even get shot. Also,
she shoots like all the cast of hung jury.
Oh, that's right. Off camera, he does shoot all the other people. And the thing is, like,
I can do better.
All the shows, I can do better. Like that shit isn't. So right off the bat, you're getting like, okay, this movie is unserious. This movie is a spoof. I can do better as fucking. It's Mike White and
Carrie Preston.
Oh, poor Mike White.
Mike White. Oh my god, it's so funny. I knew him as like the guy like Hank from the Stepford Wives remake more than I knew him from like the films he's written and directed.
Funny. That's amazing.
Writer and director of Chuck and Buck and The Good Girl.
And fucking creator of
White Lotus.
White Lotus. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, and there he is, just kind of calling in a favor as like this like character in this movie.
Like we just need a skinny weirdo. Get me Mike White on the phone.
Mike White.
Oh my god.
But yeah, this whole opening with these upfronts and these reality shows that are going to be on the fall schedules are out of control.
Right. And her as a character, there's like we said, there's like the shooting of these contestants on this reality show, and she's just like, okay, I get it. We're gonna like pay for all of their hospital and all that. And you're like, I'm so sure, you swear, like this woman. So right off, at the jump, we're getting that this lady is like maybe her moral compass is not pointing in the right direction. You know, what are her goals? It's just like ratings.
Ratings, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Far Cry.
She wants to turn it into like a whole like a reality show documentary thing, you know?
Yeah.
Let the healing begin. And
let the healing begin. And you know what? Nicole Kidman kind of.
I'd watch it.
Kind of knocking all of these early scenes like out of the park of how she's delivering all these lines.
She's so good. The scene when she's like getting fired and she's like goes in like being like, yeah, like that was great. I'm feeling good. I'm raring to go.
Yeah.
And that close up of her face where, you know, it's just silence and she's like realizing like she's like being fired and they don't want her anymore. It's just like, oh my God. And she just has like a total like mental breakdown. Like she's great.
How do we feel about Nic and her girl boss hair?
I don't know about this Whitney Houston bob on Nic.
She does look odd with dark hair, I will say.
This was kind of a whole era of the Nicole Kidman wigs that were short and brown because this is the same year that she did Birth. And she has the Rosemary's Baby cut in Birth.
Well, and that,
she's leftover Birth hair.
That's like the Mia Farrow.
She was sent back to the salon to have it cut shorter.
Okay, I think that with Nic's peaches and cream complexion, maybe brown hair washes her out. You know, maybe it's too dark and maybe it just makes her a little bit more pale. I don't know how I feel about it. I think that Scott, what you're saying is that it's like it's a power bitch haircut. It's got to be short.
The wig quality is really nice kind of later in the movie when you start to see the part in it. It looks pretty seamless. Looks like it's growing out of her head.
Are you telling me that hair is not growing out of her head?
No.
So, I mean, this is already right off the bat a huge contrast from the original because is the wife even named Joanna?
Yeah.
Okay. So Joanna
it's the same name.
Is a housewife.
Well, she is a photographer. She's a photographer.
She has career aspirations.
She has career aspirations.
And in this movie, her last name, it must be her maiden name.
Right.
Because in the original movie, they're both the Eberhards. But he has a different name in this one. So
I noticed
she's that
because Joanna is that
but
type of woman.
It's both Walter and Joanna in the original.
Sure, okay. But Joanna's that type of woman that she's going to keep her last name.
That type.
Correct.
Well, Scott, what do you mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
No, I did know. Yeah, it's in the IMDb that they have something. But yeah, that just shows that she came up in Hollywood before she was married, and then when she got married, she's like, well, that's my name. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a Hollywood mogul, so I'm keeping it. It's a stage name almost. Okay. When they get, I know we're like kind of jumping the gun a little bit.
That's okay.
But when they get to Stepford and we walk into this fucking house, I don't want to keep jumping back and forth to the original, but I feel like the houses in the original were a little bit more modest. These
they're ridiculous mansions. Yeah,
they're not. I mean, mansion is like even not even. These are like compounds. Are they all this? I think they're all the same layout, right?
Because they all kind of look the same.
Bette Midler and hers, and then I think.
The kitchens all look the same.
Yeah, with
like
those
when they walk in through the back.
Yeah, that kind of bay window that's like floor to ceiling, and it's like super high, like cathedral ceilings. What's the country superstar that's in this movie?
Faith Hill?
Faith Hill. I feel like her house is kind of almost the same layout as well when we see it later on. But yeah, this, especially when it's empty when they first walk in, you're like, oh my God, this is ridiculous.
Well, also kind of existing in a weird Twilight Zone universe of technology that doesn't quite exist too. So it's kind of even playing with stuff like that as well, that Stepford even has its own technology when you enter the city too.
I mean,
wait, so you can't flush all the toilets in your house from your kitchen?
Hey,
we do that in Connecticut.
Our Alexa can do a lot, but not that. Also, I mean, you want to talk about like realistic, lifelike, fleshy robot lady. and the smart house is giving you pause. Like if we're gonna have real robots,
sure,
that are passing
That's
for people,
true.
like you gotta have some high tech.
I have a question
gadgets.
for both of you.
Yes.
Outside of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, do you enjoy Matthew Broderick and things? Okay, and stage work is separate because I know that he has an entire career that is primarily on stage, but how does Matthew Broderick do it for both of you?
Okay, I don't want to be canceled, but I find him kind of annoying.
Me too.
And bland.
Yeah,
okay.
There's something a little bland about a lot of Matthew Broderick that I see in movies that clearly aren't leaning into Ferris. I don't know. Like that's
but even Ferris, like I probably have seen that movie once. That's not one of those 80s movies that I gravitate towards. And I know people love it, and that's fine. But I think that's also part of the reason why I don't watch it often. Like, I like Election, and I think he's great in Election. But other than that, I'm kind of like meh about him. I don't like go out of my way to like avoid his movies, but I'm also not, I wouldn't say I'm a big fan in general.
I'm kind of the same.
I was going to bring up Election and be like, people love that. But yeah, I don't know that offhand I can really think of like performances or movies of his that I'm like, but what about,
What about Lady Hawk?
I mean,
what about The Freshman?
I don't give a shit about The Freshman. Nobody cares about The Freshman. Oh, wait, hold on, guys. I've got Sarah Jessica Parker on line 3. She's got a few words for you. Well, we'll get to her after the break. I don't know. I think he tries to play the kind of like bumbling. Bumbling. Clearly, we're all too old for his Inspector Gadget years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Does he have like Gen Z fans that are like, shut up, you fucking old farts? Inspector Gadget raised me.
Still holding on to Inspector Gadget. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think he comes off as like playing I don't know, what is this character type? Neurotic, bumbling? I don't know.
That's what I think he's supposed to be.
I think,
but also it's just like there's no chemistry with him and Nicole, and I don't know if that's on purpose.
Right.
It's a pretty nothing character.
Yeah, it is.
Because I mean, I guess that this is the John Cassavetes role from Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
But I guess that there's just nothing there.
But I mean, there should be something there because this is a person that is willing to sacrifice their spouse for what? What are these men getting out of it? Just like free time?
They're playing with they don't work apparently because they spend all their time at the men's association playing with robots.
Yeah.
I'm like, I literally wrote down in my notes, do any of these people work?
Do they have jobs? Like, what is the pro of murdering your wife, turning her into a robot just so you can like fuck her whenever you want? Like, get a fleshlight. Like, what? Having a clean house? I mean, okay.
Get a housekeeper.
You clearly can afford it in this neighborhood, right? Not having to talk to your children anymore. Like, I'm trying to figure out like the pros of it. Like, oh, these wives, but here's the pro, and here's why maybe the three of us don't get it. Straight men hate their wives.
Yes, yeah.
Is that the moral of this story?
I would say you don't have this problem with gay married couples, but I mean there is a we haven't brought up the gays yet in this movie.
I know, and I feel like the representation is kind of wild.
Well, and it's kind of interesting because not to bring it back to the original novel and movie from 1975, but the big thing in those ones were it was when a black couple moves to the neighborhood.
Oh, sure.
And for the remake, they made it a gay couple, which I guess is kind of interesting when you look at the period of the mid-2000s when just kind of the gay community was just kind of slowly gentrifying themselves in just suburbia, which I think is kind of an interesting aspect of the script.
Yeah, you see it in American Beauty. This idea of the gay married couple where they're both like businessmen, and they like only wear suits. And it's this very heteronormative, like, we're going to buy this house, and one of us is going to be super effeminate, and one of us is going to be straight passing, and that's gay married
I guess
life
that in terms of American Beauty, they're the most well-adjusted family in the neighborhood, too.
True. But it's still that tired trope of, like, every man over 30 wears a business suit to work, right? And they both do. Both gay dudes. And and this idea of like, okay, Roger Bart, I get it, treasure, whatever. He was a singing voice of Hercules. Love it.
Or the singing voice, yep.
But this character.
I don't know. I give Roger Bart some, like, I think that I give him a long leash because he is an out gay actor.
Yeah.
So I kind of respect all of these choices.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something very charming that they do throw in a gay guy to kind of have these adventures with,
I like that it's the three of them.
With Bobby and Joanna. I think that it's precisely the type of energy that this movie needs.
I like their dynamic, and I guess you could kind of argue it's a little like, is it a little Jack McFarlane, his character? Maybe not as funny, but that type.
Him and his frosted tips.
The frosted tips were killing me. Oh my! But it's like that. It was a character
2004.
point. And it was 2000. It was the era. But I think they also made mention of it, like later on. Like it was kind of a little joke at some point in the dialogue. So I guess we'll give it a pass.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Roger later. But I want to talk about Bette Midler as Bobby Markowitz.
Yes.
Okay.
I love
Bobby Marco in the original. Now it's Markowitz to make her even more Jewish.
I love her character introduction when you first meet her, wearing this deep purple shirt.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Am I the only one who finds all of this more than a little disturbing? We are celebrating our nation's birthday, but there are almost no African Americans, no Native Americans, no Asian Americans, and oh my God. Hey, you're Joanna Everhart.
Yes. You got such a raw deal.
Aren't you Bobby Markowitz?
Yes, I love your books, especially the last one. What was it called? It was about your relationship with your mother.
I love you, but please die.
You know, the character of Bobby is an author. She has several books. She's in the middle of writing a new one. Very liberal.
And what was her last book? What was it called again?
Oh, it was the one about her mother.
It was the one about your mother. I love you, but please die.
So I get that she's this like liberal writer kind of character, and the styling is good, but I miss like a cha-cha Bette Midler. Like I almost wish she kind of had like big hair and nails and like kind of a little bit more like a sassy kind of costume.
It would have been interesting to see what Joan would have done with this role.
Sure, yeah. I think maybe they kind of were pulling from that, whereas Bette Midler, I think, kind of thrives in that like larger than life kind of character. And this character was still, big and fun and all that. But I kind of wish that she was able to do a little bit more outrageous fortune, a little bit more of like a gaudy kind of a character, as opposed to like a schleppy, like liberal arts person. I don't know, but that's just me, like always wanting to see Bette Midler play the same role.
It's fun to see her match with John Lovitz too. I think they both work really well together.
They're good together, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and John Lovitz too is a little bit more like schlubby. He's wearing like shorts and t-shirts and stuff. So I guess that kind of like matches the two of their dynamic. But still, I do wish she was a little bit more gaudy, like a little bit more like her outrageous fortune character. But that's just me. But yeah, she's really great, and I do like you said, I do like the fact that it's the three of them that get to like kind of go on these little capers and like follow everybody around, because that's a fun dynamic with the three of them.
Yeah, they're like all really good together. They have good chemistry. Like it's funny because you read about, I don't know if the actors themselves had issues with each other, but you read about like Frank Oz not getting along with the actors, but I don't know if the actors didn't get along, but if they didn't get along, it doesn't come across on screen. Because I feel like they all like play off each other so well.
Yeah, kind of reading about all of this cast drama. I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing a interview with Frank Oz that says tensions on the set, absolutely. In every movie I do, there's tension. That's the whole point. And working people hard, that's exactly what they expect me to do. Bette Midler has been under a lot of stress lately. She has made the mistake of bringing her stress on the set. And I think that Bette Midler kind of has always had a reputation of maybe being a handful to go to work with.
Oh, so you're calling her difficult?
Difficult? I don't know.
Drag her.
Well, with Outrageous Fortune, her and Shelley Long hated each other, right?
Yes.
And sometimes I think that Bette maybe struggles with sharing the spotlight with other actors too, and it's probably something that she's better at now than she was when she did Outrageous Fortune back in the late 80s. But I would imagine that the main kind of difficulty with this movie would be these actors showing up to set and not necessarily knowing what version of the script that they're reading. Have they been able to memorize all of their lines from various reshoots? I could see that being Nicole Kidman's main problem with this movie, of just not really knowing when you show up to a movie, is the script done? Is it like, can I memorize my lines? What direction is this character headed? I could see stuff like that probably being the main problem with her.
Yeah, for sure. Like, am I being murdered and becoming a robot, or am I just getting chips implanted into my brain? I mean, can someone let me know?
There is and it's like in a few scenes of this movie, you see a body on a table that you assume is a robot too,
right?
Which I'm assuming is a remnant from a previous version of the movie.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys watch the movie. I have the movie on DVD or Blu-ray, but there's a bunch of deleted scenes on the DVD, and there's an entire sequence with Bette after she becomes Stepfordized, where she's literally turns into like a lawnmower. Her hand like grows and like collects dust bunnies on the ceiling.
So she's Inspector Gadget.
She's literally Inspector Gadget. And you could tell that they like did not want to go in the direction of their robots, but there's remnants of it in the movie. I mean, the character Sarah comes down the stairs and they find the remote and they make her boobs bigger, and then she's an ATM.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how is she's got to be a robot? So I don't know.
Yeah, the money coming out of the mouth.
I think if you lost that scene, it would have solved a lot of problems.
Sense, yeah.
I think it would have solved a lot of problems with this movie.
Because the scenes where like they're kind of, twitching and kind of maybe sparking and stuff, you could get away with being like, oh, well, they have things implanted in them,
but
without
also,
them being full on robots.
Yeah, but Scott mentioned it in the big last scene of the movie, and sorry for skipping around, but the big last scene of the movie, the thing comes up and there's a body on it.
Yeah.
What is that body?
And when
why is it there?
And when Roger Bart kind of looks in that room, I'm assuming that he sees
his new
robot body of himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I also watched, like, Frank Oz did a commentary on the DVD, and it's almost like you would have no idea, the way he talks about the movie, that there was like no script issues, and it was like he talks about it. Okay, now he talks about how they use CGI for the eyes opening. Like, that didn't really happen. That was added later in post. Like,
how about that?
You think? Like, I'm like, can you talk? Can you explain why there's a body here? Like,
what the hell
I don't know.
is the body for? If we're just,
I don't even think he knows.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, okay. I want to go back a little bit let's talk about Glenn and her character.
Yeah, her introduction, please. Oh my God.
Yes.
Every line that comes out of her mouth, I'm like obsessed with.
Claire Wellington and all of the women of Stepford, these outfits that they're wearing, they're very like, obviously they're these 50s, 50s silhouettes. Glenn is wearing very like new look, very like Dior kind of like silhouettes, very tight cinched waist, in the scene where she takes Nicole to the gym or to work out,
the Stepford Day Spa,
the day spa. She's wearing pants, right? I love.
It's not polka dot, like checkered, like
a little cigarette pant,
like high waisted pants.
Yeah, high waisted, but it's just like, oh my God, so good. And like the wigs on her, and she's just delivering these lines and killing every one of them. Like, she's so good at comedy, and it's like, regardless of its it's a robot, it's microchips. At this point, we don't care because it's just whatever this character is. If it's a robot or if it's just a woman with microchips, she's still just killing it. She's delivering it. She's believing it. And you're just like, fuck,
she knows the type of energy that a performance like this needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. She understands the assignment. She like all the other actors may not know. Like, I don't get what the ending is. I don't know where my character's going. She knows exactly what her character is.
Yeah, and it worked. It works so well, and even for Nicole to just be in the room and be like, "Oh, you're all going to work out like that," and she just like has this answer. It's like, yeah, fuck it, we believe her. Like, she looks great. They look great.
There's some looks that she gives Nicole Kidman in this movie that just crack me up too. I think that
like side eye looks.
Yeah, just kind of whenever Nicole makes a snarky comment like that about this is what you wear to work out, and I want to say that it was when Faith Hill like malfunctions at the barn dance that Glenn gives a look to Faith Hill that I think that she kind of waves her hands in front of her
to Nicole. You mean
Joanna?
Yeah, So funny though.
Yeah, that seems wild. But I love that, like, when the Faith Hill character is having her little like malfunction.
Do-si-do.
Is this one of the few Faith Hill performances before? I mean, okay, so Stepford Wives, and then she was just in a Taylor Sheridan show, like 1889 or something, on the Paramount Network. I don't think that she's done a lot of acting.
No.
Outside of those two.
No.
So something tells me that she was that turned off on film acting from the Stepford Wives.
She's like, I'm good. I got to work with the guy who voiced Miss Piggy. I'm good.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe she just thought like it's cost benefit analysis. It was a lot of work. My role was really tiny. I was there for a long time doing long hours, and like I can make a lot more money just touring and being a country superstar.
According to IMDb, a 7-month film shoot.
Yeah, what the hell?
And I think that Nicole Kidman had to leave the set of The Interpreter that she was doing with Sidney Pollack to do the reshot ending, I think.
And they reshot it, like, I think, like, just a couple months before the movie came out, too.
Sure. Like, it was probably...
They were editing this movie, like a week before it came out.
Yeah. Like, they probably did a lot of those reshoots in the spring, and it was out by June. Yeah.
Does Faith Hill have a song on Practical Magic?
It's This Kiss.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, duh. Yeah, there you go, then. Because I was like, wait a minute, she's in that, but no, it's just IMDb. It says performer. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I remember at the time, like you said, this movie was very like talked about. I always talk about watching, Extra and Entertainment Tonight, and it was kind of on there a lot. And I feel like her Faith Hill being in the movie was like a big talking point. I feel like that was always everywhere. Like, oh, and it's her, I don't know if it was her first thing she did or whatever, but it was very much like, it's not a cameo, like it's a full role in the movie, and it's like, is it? Is it? Like she's not the ATM robot lady. She's different. Like I couldn't even tell. Half of them, I'm like, are these different ladies? I don't know.
I forget. Is she the Do-si-do one?
She's the Do-si-do one.
Okay, I can't remember if she ends up being the one.
And then she's the one with the sex moans. She's having sex with the husband, and then the boobs get bigger.
Okay.
So that's
the
her.
boobs. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think she's the ATM one.
And
that one had brown hair.
And she is the airline CEO.
Oh yeah, I think she's the one that's like, she's like, it's called Claire Robic. She's like, because her name is Claire.
Oh, she's the judge.
She's the judge.
I think that actress is kind of killing it. Of all of her brief little lines.
Oh
yeah. Mm-hmm. Now I know why they call it the Banana Republic. Is that her? Is that the same one?
That's what she says. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like this. I like the scene at the barn dance at the hoedown when she's like trying to get in there, and all the men just like kind of block her off. And yeah, when Glenn Close is trying to get her attention away from Faith Hill, and she like waves her hands in front of her face.
So funny.
It's like, oh my god. It was really funny, but also like, okay, yeah, it's like exactly what that character would do. Like you got to like pull her focus from this. Don't let her see what's going on. I love
Glenn
it.
Close just did. I think that when she was doing press for The Deliverance, Netflix did a thing that Vanity Fair does where they read them lines from a movie, and I believe that her line that she was being read from the Stepford Wives was, "Let's celebrate the birth of Christ with yarn." And Glenn did not get the line. Like she didn't know where it came from. She had no idea where it came from. But when she found out it was from the Stepford Wives, you could like she just kind of smiles and she was just like, "Yeah, that was a fun movie. We all had a good time." So I mean, I feel like Glenn, may not think of this movie all that much, but she seemed to remember it fondly when she found out it was from the Stepford Wives.
As long as she didn't like hate it, that would just that would hurt, if she was like, "Oh God, I'm so embarrassed I did that."
Well, I feel like, I don't know, who really is going to be like, "Oh, fuck that movie"? Like in the Vanity Fair interview.
I feel like Matthew Broderick.
Everyone else.
I feel like Matthew Broderick has made a statement. I have it right here in my notes. In a 2005 interview, Matthew Broderick stated, "Making that film wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't nobody's fault, but my part was not terribly interesting. It was not a thrilling film. I would hate if it were my last."
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Mm-hmm. I want to know what going back to Glenn Close, I always forget that she's in and Out because she's in that scene in the Oscars. Does she have like a relationship with a working relationship with Frank Oz or something? It's
Maybe.
Funny that she kind of does that cameo in and Out and then is in this. I wonder if she owed him a favor or something.
Maybe. Frank Oz, just one of those directors that he just kind of finds himself in these problem productions. I mean, I think that he co-directed The Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal, I would imagine that was an ordeal of a film shoot, of making a movie completely with puppets. He did the score with Marlon Brando, and I think that I remember there being a lot of stories of on-set fights with him and Marlon Brando, that they weren't speaking when they were directing. So I don't know. I'm sure that Frank Oz is a great guy, but he just kind of finds himself in these big studio productions that just kind of get away from him at times.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like in the IMDb trivia, he there was some quote from him saying that he's also trying to please producers in the studio and kind of not doing what's best for the movie and trying to working with actors that are kind of tough to work with and all those things kind of add up to being a troubled production, I guess.
I don't know. Little Shop of Horrors. What About Bob and The House Sitter? Kind of.
Well, isn't there?
What About Bob?
Is there stories of What About Bob? Yeah. Of was it Richard Dreyfuss or Bill Murray?
Probably both.
That he was not getting along with.
I don't know about you. I don't want to be on a movie set with either Richard Dreyfuss or Bill Murray. That doesn't sound like a fun time for anybody. But I'm just saying that.
Or Julie Haggerty.
Oh,
yeah. Interesting directing career, that one.
Yeah, it's wild. It's some of his movies are some of my favorites, and some I've never even seen, but don't know really well. He did Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which I saw once a long time ago.
Yeah,
but I don't really remember it.
I remember as a kid just being "Oh, great!" Steve Martin signed me up. He plays a con man. Great. But I'm 12 when this comes out. So I watch it. I'm I don't know what this is. This movie is not for me.
And then they did a gender swap remake that no one talks about with Anne Hathaway.
Right. The Hustle?
Yeah.
I never saw that.
I think that's an unofficial remake of that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think one of my favorites is just Muppets Take Manhattan. I just love the weird, zany energy of that movie, and obviously because he does Muppet stuff and does the voices, but God, that movie is wild.
We just did a Muppets Take Manhattan rewatch.
We just rewatched it.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's so much fun, and when you watch something like Little Shop of Horrors, which is a musical, you kind of see how he came from.
You see the connections.
Yeah. I think some of his stuff is really good, but it is very disjointed, his filmography. It's not like, oh, he likes this type of movie. It's like there's kind of everything in here. I love Bowfinger. I concede that it is not a perfect movie.
Yeah. I love Bowfinger.
I haven't watched it in a while. Does it not hold up? Or are there bad things about it? I can't remember.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. It could be better. It could be funnier, but I think it's great.
When it works, it really works.
Yeah, it really works. Yeah. And to have Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy kind of together, very wildly different comedic styles, but they work together. And hey, he threw Robert Downey Jr. a bone and cast him in this movie in what, 99?
I think that was like 99. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to the Stepford Wives.
Yes.
And,
Glenn Close.
And my many problems with
Glenn Close, so much fun.
Glenn Close, no problem
Glenn
with Glenn Close. Yeah.
Hello, little Energizer. Isn't she sassy and a little sad? Come on, every line she delivers is fantastic.
I want to talk about this robot dog.
Oh my god, the fucking robot dog. I can't with this dog. The most mid-2000s special effects ever.
Yeah, it looks like, is it supposed to be made of like fudge? What? It looks like it's like, is it wet? Like, what is the texture?
It's that like not quite shiny, but not quite like rough. It's that, it's
matte,
it's that surface, that CGI surface that they couldn't perfect in the early like 2000s. That looks so like fake.
Like when it's a person, it looks like plastic, but when it's plastic, it looks like pudding. I don't know.
I mean, robot dogs were having a moment around this time, right?
They were.
Yeah.
Oh, were there more?
Yeah, like real robot dogs,
like
that you could buy.
Little robot dog,
the little iRobot dogs. Yeah, that you could buy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That they were.
All I have to say is like, thank God the animal in this movie was a robot and wasn't real, because I'm like traumatized from your Swiss Family Robinson discussion of like animal abuse. So like, thank God the only animal in this movie is CGI.
Seriously. But you know, it's so interesting because this movie kind of does lend itself to being like a farce or being like parody, because of all these ideas of like, okay, we're gonna move to this neighborhood and we're bringing our family, and okay, they're giving us a robot dog, and the kids are like, sure, I'm gonna like play with this robot dog. But these ideas of like these husbands straight up just like, I guess I have kids, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I love how schlubby all of these guys are too. I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's his commentary. Well, doesn't Nicole Kidman say something about that being in television? Because somebody points out that like all the husbands are like grossos and all the wives are hot.
I think Bette, when they break into the men's association, mentions that.
But she says something about like, I work in TV.
She's like, I work in TV. Yeah, I forget what the line is referring to specifically.
I mean, today that's kind of referring to the whole like King of Queens like phenomenon, right? The hot wife with the Kevin James husband. But at that point, I don't know that that's what they were going for, but I think that's what they were going for, right?
I think so. I like how all these guys kind of remind me of all of like Kevin Kline's friends in like In and Out. Like they kind of like,
she was too old for Yentl.
Like they're trying to be like hip and cool, but they're just like old, like kind of nerdy, lame straight men, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. All these wives are like so beautiful, but again, like some of these men like have children, and like, so you as an audience member, again, I just keep coming back to this, like, what's the plan? What's the end game? Because these men literally had to be like,
wow,
sure, I'm literally taking my wife's life.
But Pete, you are forgetting who is pulling the strings of this entire operation. Not to kind of jump right to the end.
What's her end game?
Her big end game is kind of having this life before feminism.
Oh, right.
Yeah, of like when women were women.
Okay, so let's dive into this for a second. I honestly don't know if they completely made up the fact that Glenn is behind it all for the rewrite, or if that was always.
Sure, I don't know.
going to be the case.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like in a way it was. I think that just the concept of whether they were actual robots or not is what kind of changed. But it feels like
idea.
Glenn was always playing that.
Okay. And we haven't even talked about the fact that Glenn Close, her character's name is Claire. And she is married to Mike.
Oh, yeah, we haven't even mentioned Christopher Walken.
Mike Wellington, played by Christopher Walken, in the craziest Christopher Walken hair you have ever seen. Like, I see this man coming, and I turn around and run in the other direction. This man is a murderer. He's going to eat your bones in his soup. I'm afraid of him. He looks crazy.
Yeah, he looks crazy, and that's saying something for being Christopher Walken.
Yeah, he looks crazy for Christopher Walken. Like, just give him his regular look, and he'd still be imposing and scary. In this movie, like, is it a wig? I don't know. It's like orange. His hair is wild. His hair
it kind of looks like a crazy Michael Myers hair.
Sure. Yes, like that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like wiggy because of the way, like, the length and the style. It's like, what is going on? Oh, scary. Effective.
I mean, he is playing a robot.
Yeah, effective that it's Christopher Walken. I guess he is like the counterpart to, the original, like the kingpin like guy at this men's club. I want to talk about this, like we were talking about mansions. This men's club,
and I believe the men's club is the same shooting location of the original, correct?
That is correct. It was in Norwalk. It's called the Lockwood Matthews Mansion, and you can actually take tours of it.
Ooh,
I looked it up, and I was like, oh, maybe I should go do a tour before we record. But I guess they're fixing it up so tours are suspended. But yeah, it's a very famous like mansion down in Norwalk, which is about a half hour from where I am.
Okay. Yeah, it's this giant, like, I don't even know what style it is, like architecturally.
It looks like the house from Knives Out.
Oh yeah, I could see that
a little bit.
Yeah.
Knives Out, starring Frank Oz. He's the guy. Yeah. He's the guy reading the will.
Oh, that's
Knives Out.
Yep. That's so weird.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Oh, I just remembered we talked about Roger Bart a little bit, but I wanted to bring up the little run that they do. So the first thing, well, not the first thing, but the thing that really tips off Joanna and Bobby is that their third musketeer, they're in their like little Tres Amigas group.
Not the Tres Amigas, P. Real Housewives of OC reference right there.
They're little Tres Amigas.
Who's who in that then?
I would say that Bette Midler has got to be Vicky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joanna's
Shannon? Yeah, I mean...
Shannon Medore?
I don't know.
Chris, you're like, I don't watch Housewives.
I was going to say Tamara.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I think that Nick is Tamara, and that would make
Roger Bart.
Shannon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So Roger gets abducted. He is now running for some office in town. He's lost his frosted tips.
Gay Republican.
State Senate, gay Republican. He lost the frosted tips, and they're just like, what the fuck is going on? But I want to talk about when they go to his house and look through his garbage.
This scene is so funny.
This shit is great.
Captures a moment.
What? Okay. So what do they find?
What do they find? So Dolce & Gabbana.
Oh, yeah.
The labels.
They find all the shirts that are like
all the shirts.
His fashion label, like, wardrobe that he threw away. But
Gucci and Versace, also known as Versace.
Yeah, yes. But the Viggo Mortensen T-shirt.
The Viggo Mortensen. Oh well, no. I mean first,
Orlando Bloom.
I mean first, it's the framed Orlando Bloom.
The framed 8x10 of Orlando Bloom fucking took me out. Died.
And his playbill from Hairspray.
Yes.
And come on, like that guy only has one playbill. Yeah. There should be. I have 40 playbills.
Yeah, just Hairspray
downstairs on my shelf.
Yeah, because why?
So there's no way he only has one.
Yeah.
What would be? like if I turned into a Stepford husband, what are you going to find of me I'm throwing out?
But I love that the framed photo of Orlando Bloom was a headshot.
Yeah.
Not like a full body, not shirtless, just his head, just his face. Just a full close-up of the face and an 8x10.
His IMDb photo, basically.
Yeah,
Pete,
like that's
what are you finding of me in the trash when I become a Stepford husband?
We're finding your Orville Peck records.
Mm-hmm. My signed Orville Peck the Greek.
Yeah.
Poster. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dude, we don't have
my garbage can would be filled with my Golden Girls collection, like my B. Arthur autographs, my all that stuff.
Yeah. I was gonna say our Elvira autographs, like our stack of Elvira autographs.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
I love this scene because it kind of feels like a leftover from the Paul Rudnick, classic gay stereotype moment, like an In and Out when it's like, an autographed copy of Beaches starring Bette Midler. It's just like those classic stereotype things that like a gay man would have. Like it's so funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know who mentioned it, Scott, if you mentioned it or if I just read it somewhere, but somebody making the analogy of Nic in the Stepford Wives, just kind of like being married to Tom Cruise.
I think it's what Scientology tried to do to Nicole Kidman. I mean, we've all seen that photo of her after the divorce papers were signed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably material that you can relate to.
Yeah. It's apt. And where was she in her Tom Cruise journey when she's making this movie? Divorced.
She would have been well divorced.
Well divorced.
Right. Right.
Okay.
I mean, this was
Eyes Shut was 99. That's how I always remember when it was, because it was right after that, right?
It was right after Eyes Wide Shut. I believe that she did the first public appearance without Tom was The Others premiere summer of 2001.
Okay.
So I think that she made the Moulin Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
The Moulin Rouge and The Others, they separated. So this is Nicole Kidman post-Oscar win. So she is on top of the world.
This is post-Oscar
Cold
win?
Mountain had just come out.
Damn.
Did not get her a Best Actress nomination. She is about to make Birth, Jonathan Glazer's Birth, that everybody loves now, but did not like at the time, too. So
I haven't seen it since college, but now that I love. Not that we should need to talk about the zone of interest, but he is such a fascinating filmmaker. I kind of do want to go back and rewatch Birth and see if it's better than I remember. I was kind of one of the naysayers.
I think it's pretty solid. I think it's some of her best work.
Okay, I'm going to go rewatch it.
I don't have an opinion on Birth because I have not seen it.
You have not seen it,
and I don't really have a strong desire to see.
But I definitely remember there being a big conversation with Nicole Kidman at this time of she probably made $15 million for this movie. This movie, cost over $100 million for Paramount, did not end up going in the black at all. That I definitely remember there being a discussion of Nicole Kidman's choice of movies. And if that really lines up with the type of movies that audiences want to see her in, I definitely remember that being a thing at this time.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she's definitely one of those performers that goes from weird artsy movie to big studio movie.
She's very director driven.
She does
too.
a lot of stuff like that. Goes back and forth.
She's very director driven. She kind of works with directors that really speak to her too.
Is this right around? This is right before or after like Dogville?
This is the same year as Dogville.
This is the same year as Dogville, which is God,
that's wild. Going from
But I want to know is how did she end up in something like Bewitched years later? Because you think she would have learned her lesson.
I think she just wanted to work with Nora Ephron as you would as an actress. Right, you would want to work with Nora Ephron.
Yeah.
Just because when Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, get out of here. It's Nora Ephron that I would suppose that when you're offered something like Samantha in Bewitched, I think that you just kind of have to do it when Nora Ephron gets on the phone and offers you it.
Yeah.
So it's choices like that I get.
Yeah.
Just kind of in these high concept movies that may not feature her all that well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so interesting that both of those are these like remakes that
both Stepford Wives and Bewitched.
Yeah. But they both kind of went in their own direction almost with the material.
Yeah.
I think Stepford Wives is a little more like connected to it, where Bewitched was a little bit more high concept.
Bewitched is trying to be meta because it's the show Bewitched exists in the universe of the movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like it's like Blair Witch 2 or something.
Mm-hmm. Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows, and Bewitched, Kindred Spirits. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just a very interesting time of Nicole Kidman's career. That, I mean, she wouldn't get another Oscar nomination until Rabbit Hole in 2010.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Dogville is showing up as 2003.
I think it probably went to Toronto or something.
With festivals, yeah.
2003, she had Dogville, The Human Stain, and Cold Mountain.
The Human Stain was a big bust at the time.
I know.
Yep.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stepford Wives, Birth. Oh, yeah, and that's it for 2004.
Mm-hmm.
She was kind of cranking them out. She was doing 2 movies a year for a long time.
Major Hollywood movies.
She did 3 movies in
Times,
07. And then Australia, which is a big enough movie on its own in 08. Like, she was really killing it. But yeah, this filmography is so crazy to go from Birth, Human Stain,
and
Dogville.
also, I mean, maybe just kind of Birth and Dogville are in their own category just because they're a little art house. But I think that stuff like the Stepford Wives, The Interpreter, and Bewitched just being these huge movies that just didn't quite deliver, too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And The Golden Compass.
And The Golden Compass, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wild filmography, 2000 filmography.
Yeah, it really is when you look at it. It's so all over the place. And then you get, I think when you really look at the big picture, she leans more into kind of the art house,
kooky art house movies like Fur. Did you ever see Fur?
No, I never saw
with Robert
that.
Downey Jr., where she plays Deanne Arbus. Yeah, it's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. I need to see the movie that she's in now, like Baby Girl, because I just want to watch her have sex with Harris Dickinson. It got so
really
bad.
good reviews at Venice. I think that she won Best Actress at Venice, so she will be in the Oscar conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I hear he's actually very good in it too.
Yeah.
Harris Dickinson or Dickerson? He is Beach Rats.
Beach Rats and Triangle of Sadness.
Triangle of Sadness.
He's the model in Triangle of Sadness because he looks like a model. And he's going to be John Lennon. No, he's not. He's going to be John Lennon.
In what?
In the Beatles movie.
Is that actually happening?
I think it is. I think it's on his IMDb. It's Lil Barry's Ringo. Paul Mescal is Paul McCartney.
I don't think this is actually happening.
All right.
It is not on his IMDb. He has Blitz coming out later this year.
Oh yeah.
Are you telling me that TikTok has lied to me once again?
Yeah, I think that I have seen that, and I think it's bogus. But who knows? Prove me wrong, Internet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks a little crazy too. I wasn't really excited for it.
As I'm doing this episode with my Paul Mescal shirt.
I mean,
yeah.
Hey, when is Gladiator?
November.
Oh,
week after Thanksgiving.
All right, we got to get our tickets for that.
No,
soon.
week before Thanksgiving. I don't know. It's the same day as Wicked.
Oh, it's the same day as Wicked.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see
counter programming.
It's the new Barbenheimer.
Yeah.
I'll see you in the lobby.
Just all right. So going back to the Stepford Wives, I think this is one of those movies where I think when Paul Rudnick was writing the script, there had to be clear choices of the direction that they are taking this movie. Of just kind of plot points that I think that when they started filming it, it was probably very gray of when these actors were reading the script of what exactly happens to Joanna at the end of the movie. That I think that these are things that really should have been like discussed in detail as they were filming this movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll never know what exactly was going on, but I think a lot of that was saying that it was audience reaction that didn't like the original ending, right?
Oh, hold up.
Yeah, they did test screenings.
Okay, one minute, Chris. We got to knock on the door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 3 times already. Yeah. Okay. We're good. Thank you.
Not door-to-door Wi-Fi representatives.
Yeah, they built Verizon towers and they're coming door to door, like trying to get us to switch. And the last guy that came was like arguing with me about our speeds.
God, I thought it was something. I was like, I hope they don't answer the door and get murdered in front of me,
right
and then this turns into like some crazy thriller or something.
Yeah.
But that's my imagination.
But then the girl's like, "Oh, have they already come by?" And I was like, "Yes, 3 times."
I think
she's like, "Oh, sorry, they're just doing their job."
So
I'm like,
she's clearly getting this a lot as she's knocking on doors.
Yeah, they come, and the first lady, the manager came and told her to leave because she's like, "This is private property. You can't be doing that." Like, send a mailer. Come on. But yeah, the last guy was arguing with me. I'm like, bro, you are not going to get me to switch to your service by arguing with me. You're challenging me. I'm like, first of all, your speeds are not going to get what I'm getting. So yeah, he was pissing me off. Yeah, he was pissing me off. I'm like, this is not sales, what you're doing right now. Like you're not sealing the deal by like challenging me. Get out. So yeah. She was like, sorry, they're just doing their job. I'm like, well.
You don't see salesmen in Stepford.
This is true.
Door-to-door salesman. What would you sell? Everything is in the house.
Yeah, what would door-to-door salesmen sell in Stepford?
Everything's there, and they could probably purchase what they don't have on their little their little screen in their hallway.
But like, meanwhile, when we go over to our friend's house now, that there is fully the screen on their refrigerator.
Yeah.
So this now is a thing.
Yeah, so the smart house situation is kind of crazy. I really feel like, yeah, okay, you can use it for like heating and cooling and all that stuff, but I don't know, once you have your thermostat set, it's pretty much set. Like, do you really need to like...
I don't get the whole like, why does my refrigerator need to tell me that we're out of juice?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm usually up on that stuff.
Yeah. Like, I feel like lighting when you're away, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You doing it from your phone and all that, but some of it's a little overkill right now. So,
some of the moments that I think are really well done in this movie is the juxtaposition of when Joanna goes over to Bobby's house.
Oh my god!
The first time, and it's revealed her house. It reminds me a lot of that scene from Outrageous Fortune.
Yeah.
Where her apartment
when Shelley goes into
right?
her like city apartment.
They've been here.
They can't tell that she's been robbed because like her apartment's like all like messed up already.
It's like, this is how it always
reminded
is.
me a lot of that scene from Outrageous Fortune, and it's funny when they juxtapose it of when she goes back over later in the movie and everything is spotless. So like those are just kind of funny reveals that I think are pretty well done.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, there's another issue with kind of the final direction of this movie is that when she's like, okay, your house is... First of all, the pigsty kitchen, it was a little too much. Like, it was crazy. It was like, don't let the... like.
Well, they thought she was making anthrax.
Yeah, like, don't let CPS come to this house. They're going to take your children. Like, this is hazardous. There's probably like raccoons living in here. But now it's completely spotless, which this would take like a team of like, hoarders to come in and like clean this kitchen. So it's clean. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe it's so clean. And then she's like talking to her and she's figuring out like she's got like her hair has changed. Obviously, she's like platinum blonde. She's wearing this dress. She's like, something's different. But it's when they're walking through the kitchen and she puts her hand on the stovetop and the fire's on and her hand is there.
Is it burning?
And it's not burning her hand.
Is it burning Bobby's hand?
But it's like, okay, maybe the microchips make her not feel that.
And it makes sense when you said
numb.
of all of those scenes that they cut from this portion, right?
Yeah.
Of her malfunctioning as a robot.
But whether or not she feels
there's like literally a part where like she takes off her like top and she's wearing her bra and she's like simulating like, you know, having sex and orgasm and her face gets all hot and sweaty. And then her boobs open up, and it's like it's like a cooler inside with a 6-pack of beer for him to drink at post coitus. It's a wild scene. You have to like look it up on YouTube or something. It's on the DVD, but it's wild.
That's definitely giving like the maid on Richie Rich. Do you remember like the Richie Rich cartoon?
Yeah.
Irona. Mm-hmm. That's giving like Irona on Richie, because Irona would do shit like that. Could like turn into like a helicopter and vacuum like with her feet and stuff. Like,
and there's nothing on the DVD of the deleted ending. Then
no,
so you don't really see in the direction that
there's no original
that it
like
goes.
like alternate ending on the DVD. I don't know if that was just like, you know, burned and
all of
destroyed,
those tapes have been erased at Paramount.
I mean, it had to have been shot if they did test screenings. So I don't know who owns that footage. Maybe Quentin Tarantino has it or something.
The Stepford Wives director's cut.
Oh my god!
At the New Beverly,
the lost edit. Yeah,
the lost edit. I mean, I'm just trying to think if a darker version of this movie would be successful, but clearly not. If people were that turned off by it.
Yeah, it's weird because the movie has such a lighthearted, like silly comedic tone, and there are those moments of kind of like suspense. You know, they're walking through the the men's association, and it's supposed to be suspenseful and scary, but which kind of feels weird against the whole like this is a silly comedy kind of thing. But
I mean, maybe
I don't know. It doesn't really bother me, but like it's a weird tone.
Maybe that's just the problems with remaking the Stepford Wives. Is I think it's inherently very dark material that at times doesn't quite lend to being a lighthearted comedy.
Yeah.
So yeah, tone problems.
But I think they made up with it for like some of the funnier moments. You know, Glenn just kind of killing it in every scene.
Glenn's big breakdown is kind of a masterclass.
Oh my god!
Her
whole
end of the movie.
monologue at the end.
Yeah,
she should have been nominated.
Probably material that she was handed probably an hour before that she had to commit to memory.
Like the whole. I had top secret contacts with the Pentagon, Apple, and Mattel.
Had to throw Mattel in there. But yeah, that's where I'm saying, like, did they rewrite all that? Was that, if that was initially the idea, then wouldn't that have kind of something that have been saved? But yeah, I think their initial idea was right. Okay, we're going to take this material, we're going to tone it down a little bit.
What if they didn't kill the women, but they just put them in some sort of a cryo chamber,
liquid goo,
and just replace them with robots, and then you can
replace them.
Then you can break them free at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's just
adding that works. I think they just didn't want to like have them like be like dead, which is what's very much happening in the original movie, right?
Yeah, maybe doing something like that kind of adds a whole second set piece. Having just them there and their little circuits just kind of frying, and then they just come back to life. Maybe it's easier to shoot.
Sure.
Just have them all in one scene.
Less expensive.
They all have their little moment of like, you know.
I mean, and that scene is fun when they kind of all become like zapped back into their real selves, and they're like, what did they do to us? And, you know, like it's fun, it's silly. But
why do I have all these dollar bills down my throat?
Yeah. Nicole Kidman
shopping.
Yeah. But also Nicole Kidman, that reveal of her shopping in the grocery store.
Oh my god, the wig.
Kind of cunt.
The wig.
So beautiful.
On Nicole.
And I'm just watching this as a Trader Joe's employee, just thinking about that's a lot of shit in her basket that I'm going to have to scan. That's a lot of stuff that I'm going to have to scan and bag.
Those baskets were always
those baskets are
top.
full.
Yeah, that makes me nervous.
I love the prominent alphabet cereal product placement in her carts. That makes me sad that it's discontinued.
I mean,
there's no more alphabets.
I love the pastel egg cartons behind her. You know, it's.
I mean, it's stuff like this that they shot all of this for the marketing because this is the main production stills that they led with.
The poster.
I mean, whenever they previewed this movie in EW or Premiere, they always use the photo of Nick in the shopping cart too.
That weird
like
teaser we saw.
And that's like a big scene in the original movie, like them all like walking by each other in the grocery store.
Do you remember the original trailer for this movie?
I actually did. It's on the DVD. I watched like both of them. Like the teaser trailer is wild.
I remember
the teaser trailer is insane.
I remember seeing the teaser trailer and being like, "Holy shit, this movie looks amazing!" Like it's kind of ingenious marketing for a movie that they probably had limited footage to cut with. That they, I mean, pretty much shot all of that for the teaser, which is done like a commercial.
Right. And it was probably done like a year before.
Yeah.
It was probably done before they even like wrote the script.
Yeah, no footage shot. There's just bring Nicole in, put her in a blonde wig, and get her behind a shopping cart. Yeah, I think tone issues aside, there are enough fun moments in this movie.
There's enough
that I'll rewatch it.
That makes it fun to watch.
Yeah. And give Bette Midler
those little Rudnick one-liners.
Yeah. And I love to look at the costumes. I love to look at the sets. It's like it's fun to watch.
I mean, it's
enough.
I mean, it's like 90 minutes long too.
It is.
It is a brisk watch.
The credits hit at like 87 minutes. I looked it up.
I was gonna say IMDb
nice.
IMDb says an hour and 33, but as we were watching it, the credits hit at 88 minutes. I was like, I don't know that there are 7 minutes of credits here. What's happening? Somebody's lying.
Takes a lot of people to make these movies.
It has like a 4-minute like intro, like title sequence. So
it has a long title sequence at the beginning. You're right about that too. So it's a tight little watch. Yeah, I do think ultimately at the end of the day, it's fun enough that like I said, if it's on cable, we'll rewatch it.
It goes down pretty easy.
And a lot of when the jokes land, they land. Yeah. And when you want to watch Glenn Close being funny, you want to watch Bette Midler being funny, and I'm here for it. I think it's fun, but you just can't think too hard about the concept.
I always try to like make it make sense in my head, and it never quite works. And it just I watch it so often that it doesn't even bother me that like it literally makes no sense.
Yeah,
but it's part of its charm.
Yeah, totally. I think the stunt casting with Faith Hill is.
I guess it's successful. I don't know who else they would have put in this that would have been a big sort of name that you didn't really see in a lot of movies. So I guess Faith Hill works.
Yeah, there's scenes, especially when they're at their Christmas, like it's book club.
That's supposed to be like a Christmas in July thing or something because it's like. Totally not winter in Connecticut, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and it's a book club, right?
Yeah, it's a book club.
So it's a book club, but the book that they're reading is like How to Decorate for Christmas or something. Yeah.
You laugh really hard.
You
laugh really hard when Glenn held up that book.
Well, the book is comically large. Mm-hmm. It's comically oversized, so I did laugh. That was a good one.
It's the Heritage Hill Special Edition Golden Deluxe Treasury of Christmas keepsakes and collectibles.
Well, it is probably the most important book any of us will ever read. Yes, it is provocative, but it is also inspiring. The Heritage Hill Special Edition Golden Deluxe Treasury of Christmas Keepsakes and Collectibles. This book said to me, let's celebrate the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ with yarn.
And all the women are there, and they're all in their like little like book club outfits. And I'm like looking at all these ladies, and I was like, well, that one looks like Elaine Hendricks from
The Parent Trap.
Trap.
Not her, though.
And Romeo and Michelle. don't think it's her. And I'm like, well, that one looks like, okay, I don't think that's her. But they just got all these women, and just in the way they styled them all, it was effective in that they all kind of looked the same, but they all look like somebody you knew, but they all, yeah. And
it's when the movie is being the most successful is this book club moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it was interesting the way that they not threw in, but it's interesting the way that they utilized the gay couple. I have questions about who is designing these robots. For the most part, they went through all of this trouble to make it a female robot. And now they're just like, sure, we got a man too. Why not?
Yeah. So did like Glenn, like, how did she like actually create the Christopher Walken like robot? Did she like, outsource to China or something?
This is the type of stuff that I wanted to see in like a flashback moment. With just footage of her
like a Frankenstein
in a lab,
kind of thing,
creating Christopher Walken.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe it was shot. Who knows? Mm-hmm.
But
maybe one day we'll get a prequel and we'll get her like Glenn's story.
I also love the type of material or movies that this remake was so notorious at the time that Paramount is never touching the Stepford Wives ever. That this won't be one of those things that in the next few years we'll see a Stepford Wives miniseries on Paramount Plus. Nope.
Oh, I'd watch that.
I think that they are
They're done.
They are done with this material, which I kind of like that Frank Oz mic drop of this is a Stepford Wives remake, and now it's pretty much toast. Like this.
But you know who wasn't done with the Stepford Wives?
Get Out.
Well, Get Out. But also, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But also, like, the television industry in the rest of the 70s and 80s, because, Mama, how many sequels and remakes were there?
There was a lot.
There's a lot of TV movies.
Revenge of the Stepford Wives, the Stepford Children.
The Stepford Husbands.
The Stepford Husbands. Yep. Barbara Eden
they
Stepforded
everybody in those TV movies.
There's not a lot of good qualities of them on YouTube because we tried to find some of them.
Did you watch clips? Yeah.
We watched some clips. We saw some TV spots, but there's not really any good prints of the Stepford Children that I was that satisfied with.
Yeah.
I want to watch all of it.
I would too, because I love Barbara Eden. I follow Barbara Eden on Instagram, and let me say this about Miss Barbara Eden. I Dream of Jeannie. Looking.
Did she take the potion?
The same.
Yeah.
Mama took the potion. Like, I think she may have taken it in her probably later 40s, because they did like I Dream of Jeannie like reboot in the 80s, and it was like, okay, 20 years. I think it was called I Dream of Jeannie 20 years later, like literally. And it was like, okay, 20 years have passed since I Dream of Jeannie, but she looks like she did then, and that was like 1988. I don't know what she's doing. Like, so yeah, maybe it's like craft. 39, 40. She's like, sure, I'll take it. So she looks like, she looks amazing is all I'm saying. Go follow Barbara Eden on Instagram. She posts some straight up, like, what do you call it? Like Reuters, like, watermark images. Like,
oh, sure.
Alamy photo.
Yeah.
But she's like, hey, I'm in it. And she posts them. She didn't give a fuck.
Getty images.
Yeah, straight. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
but she's in the Stepford Children.
But yeah,
right?
I guess that when they attempt to do any remake of this movie, we get something like Get Out, which I think is kind of interesting, because I think that Jordan Peele has been very forward of just kind of the Stepford Wives being a big inspiration for that screenplay, too.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a more successful remake of the Stepford Wives than the remake is. Yeah. But I'd love to see, like, wouldn't you love to see some kind of Blumhouse or even an A24 kind of take on this material? Because it is such a fascinating, like with Rosemary's Baby, it's such a fascinating like concept.
Replacing people with robots. Yeah.
I'm curious, like I love the commentary on feminism and stuff. I'm curious, like how that material could be handled in like modern day. Obviously with Get Out, it changes with like race.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'd love like a gay version of this or something, or someone's trying to make gay people straight or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like a conversion,
I like that.
a conversion therapy situation. Yeah, I think there's room for that. I think there's room for that in the kind of film space right now, especially with where horror movies and thrillers are. Because I think in the early 2000s, horror and thrillers were still in a little bit more of a campy kind of, Freddy versus Jason kind of space. But now that they're in this a little bit more grounded kind of era, I think we definitely could explore this subject matter. Speaking of Rosemary's Baby, I saw the trailer for Apartment 7A.
Oh yeah, I saw it. What do you guys think? I think it looks interesting.
Looks interesting. I guess give me a remake of Rosemary's Baby that's not Rosemary's Baby. It's just the woman she's
Terry D'Onofrio.
It's just Terry D'Onofrio that she meets in the basement when she's washing her clothes.
Yeah.
The only thing is
it's
that
Diane Wiest is playing Minnie.
Minnie.
Yep.
I guess that we know what happens to Terry.
Yeah.
In Rosemary's Baby, but maybe they don't do that in this version though.
That's true. They could change it up, but I think maybe that's the idea, that we know she's going to chuck herself out that window. So it's like, sorry, listeners. Spoiler for the 55-year-old movie.
Go back to our Rosemary's Baby episode. One of my favorites.
Just listen to our Rosemary's Baby episode. I'm here to tell you, if the movie is over 50 years old, get the hell out of here with the spoiler alerts. I'm here to spoil it for you.
This is a spoiler alert friendly show. So before we wrap things up, I wanted to kind of reminisce a little bit about summer of 2004 movie season. I mean, we got some bangers.
Okay.
Spider-Man 2, The Chronicles of Riddick, The Village, The Day After Tomorrow, Collateral, Catwoman, AVP, Alien vs. Predator, Open Water. I mean, we got some bangers.
Catwoman, love it.
This is just like the summer of the shitty blockbusters. Of course, excluding Spider-Man 2. Even though I just did a Village rewatch and I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of the camp of The Village secret masterpiece.
Yeah, I'm with you. I even defended The Happening for a very long time. Ooh. But, kind of everything leading up to him doing like The Last Airbender, I was fairly with. I hated Lady in the Water, though. I don't like talking about that one. That movie sucks. But,
that was a rough spot.
I like The Village. I thought, I love that, twist. I was like, what if it's modern day? That's cool. I don't know. Yeah. I like it.
But yeah, interesting movie summer in 2004.
For sure.
We kind of had everything.
Yeah, like I said, the horror. What were the horror movies that year? You said Alien versus Predator.
Open Water was a big deal.
Open Water, okay.
Open Water. I saw that in the theater. Oh, that scared the crap out of me.
Open Water was a big festival hit from Sundance that they kind of gave it this wide release late summer, and it made a decent amount of money.
Blair Witch in the water with real sharks. I mean... Come on.
Oh, that was what they led with all of the marketing, is that all the sharks were real. Oh, my God. That they had those two just out in the middle of the ocean when they made that movie.
Well, I mean, it definitely kind of an era that you can see when you listen to that list of movies. Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah, these studios just kind of had money to spend on these big blockbusters.
Yeah, Day After Tomorrow.
Did we really need a $100 million sequel to Pitch Black? Probably not, but we got it though.
Let's do it. Sold, greenlit.
Judi Dench is available.
Oh man, yeah! Don't forget Judi Dench is in the Chronicles of Riddick.
Oh my goodness, I never saw it actually. I saw Pitch Black, but I never saw the second one.
The Day After Tomorrow is also a staple of basic cable. That shit is always on.
I enjoy that one.
I just saw something where Jake Gyllenhaal and Dennis Quaid, one of them forgot that they were in the movie together.
I think it was Jake Gyllenhaal forgot that he was in a movie with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah. Because they don't share any scenes.
Yeah, because it's like Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
He's his son, but I feel like they're separated for most of the movie.
Not Finding Nemo. Oh, goodness. Well, all right. Like I said, I feel like this movie flaws... Maybe.
Is it a good time?
But yeah.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. I think Bette, I think Glenn, I think Roger, I think all the stars in it they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I mean,
I want to see. I think that we've talked about this. That I want to see a documentary made about the making of this movie.
Oh my God!
Get
I don't know what body part I would cut off.
I want to get all of these actors
to see that
on camera talking about making this movie. To try to do it in the most respectful manner possible.
I was going to say, as a statute of limitations.
I want to know what went wrong with making this movie. Like, I want to hear all their thoughts now.
I really need like a boutique label or something, like, you know, Scream Factory or something to like get a special edition of this movie. I need commentaries. I need everything. I need to know. Like, I need the alternate ending. I need all the information.
Yeah. We've got to track down those deleted scenes.
This is the type of movie that if I was ever doing like a press roundtable with Nicole Kidman, I would just at least get one quote from her about making the Stepford Wives. That's what I would go in like that. This is my main goal.
I think she would just kind of laugh and just be like, "Oh, all right. What do you want to know?" Mm-hmm. And then you ask her, and I think she'd kind of give a safe answer.
Sure.
Even the gag reel on the DVD is fun. Like, I sent you the clip, and like Glenn Close is like, "Hi, welcome to Stepford." Oh, I fucked that up. And like, she's just like, "Oh God, to be a fly on that wall."
Yeah. Yeah, we got to track those down. Are they? Did you say they're on YouTube? Or we know they're on the DVD.
So I have it's on DVD. Paramount released it on Blu-ray. I'd been meaning to upgrade, but I actually have it's on 4K streaming.
Oh, word.
I have it on like Vudu and iTunes. So it looks great. Like the 4K remaster looks great.
I think that was our stream on iTunes.
Yeah, we rented it from iTunes. Apple Movies.
I'll send you the DVD. I don't need it anymore.
That would be lovely. I really want to see what's going on in the gag reel and I need to see the Bette Midler Inspector Gadget situation.
It's wild.
Maybe
it's
we'll
really
post
wild.
some on social media.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us. So you are doing you're really doing the Lord's work over on Golden Girls posters. I would love to know, have you ever done a Golden Girls Stepford Wives poster?
Well, maybe you have to wait and see, and maybe I have one in the back pocket.
I would love to see. I would love to see the cast of the Golden Girls just dropped into the Stepford Wives. I would love to hear Ma's hot take on all of this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need like a Brady Bunch movie spoof thing with meets Golden Girls meets the Stepford Wives, something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I like it.
Or I think that if they were going to do a Stepford Wives episode of the Golden Girls, would they all think that Blanche has been replaced by a robot?
Yeah, I could see that. Or maybe Dorothy, she becomes, because she's like the no nonsense, like liberal. Yeah. She becomes like, a debutante or something. And they're like, what's wrong with Dorothy?
You could have some fun changing their personalities.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also seeing kind of like with the MTV Movie Awards, the way they would get them and do like Clueless and all that, if they could like recreate some scenes from this movie with the actors.
Put them in the book club scene.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. But come follow me on Instagram at Golden Girls Posters.
Yeah,
I'm having lots of fun over there.
Yeah, definitely. You guys got to check it out. There's always some great work on Golden Girls Posters on Instagram. So much fun. Thank you again for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. It was so fun.
Absolutely. We'll have you on again sometime soon. But until then, listeners, stick around. We will be right back. Thanks so much for listening to the very end. You guys, listeners, this was a lot of fun. Go check out Golden Girls Posters on Instagram.
That's some funny stuff.
If you haven't already. He's always reposting us. Tagging us and stuff, so you may have already seen Chris's work.
Go check out his stuff. It's great.
It's a lot of fun. But I think right now...
Oh, is it that time, Pete?
I think it is the time.
Patreon shout-outs? Let's hear them.
Some Patreon shout-outs. We want to say a great big hello and thank you to all of our active patrons over on patreon.com, including Mark, Jeff, Deja, Amy, Erica, Anna, Mitchie, our friends at How Do You Drew podcast, Andy, Kate, Pep, Roberto, Daisy, Patrick, Kelly, Chrissy, Stephen, Desiree, Laura, Thomas, Lori, Brenna, Jessa Rabbit 45, Lawrence, Lisa, Alexis, Thomas, Millie, Ted, Benny, Melanie, Susan, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Genevieve, Dawn, Joshua, Aaron, John, Nick and Shannon, Christine, and finally Rufino. You guys head over to Patreon.
We have some fun stuff on Patreon. At the $5 level, you will get our television shows that keep us gay, where we talk about a TV show every month. Those tend to come out towards the end of the month, so you'll get that at the $5 level. We just did a summer series of 90210. We did 5 episodes.
And those are bonus
where
episodes.
we talk about 90210. Those are bonus on top of the $5 level. So you'll get those at the $5 level. At the $10 level, you will get the Watch With Us commentaries, where we put on a movie and talk about it.
Yes.
For last month's, we did Return to Oz in honor of our episode 250.
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz episode.
Yeah, so at the $10 level, you get all 45 plus commentary tracks.
Oh my
plus
God, is it really 45?
Yeah. Plus everything included in the $5 level of the TV that makes us gay. So check it out.
You'll get 2 bonus episodes a month.
Patreon.com/movies that made us gay for more information and all that fun stuff. And a huge shout out to all of our patrons. Thank you so much. All of your donations go directly to keeping this show on the air every Friday ad free. So there you go. We'd also love it if you would rate, review, follow, subscribe. Go to Apple Podcasts on your iPhone, on your iPad. Search for Movies That Made Us Gay.
Yeah.
Give us a follow. Give us a 5-star rating and write us a review.
We'd love to see that.
Yes, indeed.
We can read one on the air. We haven't had a new one in a while.
We haven't had a review in a couple weeks, you guys. We need a new review. Write one. And Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you can give us a 5-star rating if you are so inclined. So go ahead and do that now. We are on Instagram at Movies That Made Us Gay. We're most active there on socials.
Yeah.
We're on X. And
we're on the other
Blue
ones,
Sky,
but most active on Instagram.
Yeah. Threads, all that good stuff. Check us out. You can follow our personals if you want to. My name is Pete. I'm at Peter Lasagna on Instagram.
Scott Youngballer, and follow my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. Thanks so much for sticking around to the very, very, very end. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.